Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Orange County Fire Authority PIO, Greg Barta. Well, Greg, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, what is it like on the front lines out there? I mean, obviously things have changed quite a bit. Tell me a little bit about what you're seeing.
Yeah, so on the front lines, I'm going to give you a comparison. Everything is the exact same way it used to be. Meanwhile, everything has completely changed. So what you'll see, or what we see that's the exact same, is we still obviously respond to our calls and with the exact same professionalism that we always do. And if anybody in the community needs us, they call 911. They're going to get our highly trained professional firefighters and paramedics. So that's the same. We're still responding on the calls. Our staffing is still the same. We're still operating the same.
Right.
However, obviously we've made quite a few changes that have changed things for us. Most notably, on calls, when we actually arrive on calls and through our dispatch procedures. So in the unfortunate event that somebody needs to call 911, the first thing they're going to notice that is different is that our dispatchers are using enhanced dispatch and questioning techniques. Right. So they're asking additional questions to kind of try and ascertain, is the call we're going on, is there a potential for coronavirus? Is there any signs and symptoms that may lead us to believe that that's the case? And then they relay that to our responding crews. Right. And then obviously our crews, they're taking that information to kind of prepare themselves for when they arrive on scene. And then what you'll really notice is, our men and women are utilizing enhanced personal protective equipment.
Right.
Obviously, our safety is of the utmost importance for both us and the community. And we're using that enhanced PPE. So you'll see our folks now, not just in gloves, but they're definitely going to be in goggles, a mask, a full gown. So kind of that additional stuff to protect us and safeguard the community. And what we're seeing out there, which is totally understandable, is a lot of nervous people, a lot of stressed people. Obviously, there's so much change going on. People are having to stay at home. They're, not leaving the house. And then obviously if they're calling us, there's something going on. Many times that's medical. And a lot of people are nervous. They want to, do they have the coronavirus? Are they going to be safe when they go to the hospital because of the coronavirus? So there's just a lot of questions and unknowns that, people have. And we're seeing that, we're living it. Right. And obviously we're trying to help usher people through that and guide them and help them like we always do.
Right.
And then obviously we're following all the same guidelines everybody else is,
right,
to the best that is feasible. When we're at our fire stations, we're maintaining social distance. We're, kind of staying away from each other, not getting too close, washing our hands. I mean, everything that the CDC and Orange County Health recommends, we're following too. So we just kind of urge everybody to do that. And that's kind of what we're seeing out there right now.
Okay. And then you mentioned you have changed some of your procedures as well as what you wear out in the field for COVID-19. But let's also talk a little bit about those who do have an emergency, but maybe they're afraid to call 911 because they, like you said, they don't want to go to the hospital because they're afraid of getting coronavirus. What would you say to those people who are maybe afraid to call 911 in an emergency?
Well, I mean, the first thing I would say is I understand why you're scared. This is a scary environment. I can't remember the last time we lived through a pandemic. So, obviously it's not something we're accustomed to. Mm-hmm. However, you don't want to play Jeopardy with your life. And if you're having any kind of medical issue, please call us. Don't just stay home out of fear. We're going to help guide you. And we're providing the safest environment possible in the pre-hospital setting. And then I know the hospitals as well, they're taking it, to the nth degree as far as, cleanliness, providing safety in the hospital. They're right, isolating those that are infected with the coronavirus. They have procedures in place to ensure your safety.
Right.
So you don't want to do that because a really bad outcome could happen if you choose not to call 911 out of fear. And obviously we completely understand where, people are coming from right now. And, we're going to be there to try and reassure you and guide you through that process. Right. But yeah, please don't not call 911. That's the wrong thing to do. Okay.
Okay. If someone was to call 911 and it wasn't an emergency, and then you were to arrive at their home, what else is different about you coming to their home?
You're saying if it was not not an emergency, or
Well,
it is
no,
an
if it
emergency?
wasn't emergent, anytime you go to their homes, what are some things that you're doing a little bit differently?
Yeah. So kind of like we touched on a minute ago, obviously when you call 911, our dispatchers are using that enhanced dispatch technique. They're going to ask you some additional questions
Okay.
just to try and find out, do you have any signs and symptoms that potentially could be coronavirus related? Have you traveled recently? Things of that nature, just to relay to our responding crews.
Okay.
And then one thing they're going to ask you to do, if at all possible, is to meet us outside.
Okay.
So if you do call 911, don't be shocked if our dispatchers ask you, if possible, and we know sometimes it's not feasible, to meet us outside in an open environment. And that's for obvious reasons. We can it's an open area, not confined. We can maintain a little more appropriate distancing.
Right.
So you will notice that difference, that instead of us, always just coming into a residence like we do, we are going to request that. Now, however, if it's not possible, we understand that, and we'll be in there to help you. And then expect to see our responding folks, our firefighters and paramedics, in enhanced personal protective equipment. You're going to see them in goggles. You're going to see them wearing a mask. You're going to see them with their gloves on. You're going to see them, most likely in some type of a suit or gown.
Right.
And it's purely out of caution to prevent spread to you, to us. We want to maintain that safe environment. So, and one other thing you may notice is many times, if you don't have a mask on already, our crews are going to come and place a mask over your face initially.
Yeah.
As long as it's possible and you're not having some type of breathing emergency that prevents that.
Right.
Just, again, following the CDC guidelines, and it keeps us safe, keeps you safe. And I know everybody's used to, when they call 911, all of us come, rushing in and get right next to the patient, and everybody wants to help them. What we've done now is we're having one person get within that socially distant space, up close to you,
Right.
touching, you performing the assessment, and the rest of the crew is maintaining that safe distance.
Okay.
So you might notice that difference. Obviously, if the call warrants more than one person being within that space, we do what's necessary to obviously help anybody that calls. So,
Right.
but those are some of the differences you may see.
Well, you're certainly prepared, and that's excellent. And I don't think we expected anything differently from you guys. So that's perfect. Now, in regards to, stay-at-home orders as well as other things that we can do, talk to me a little bit about some of the precautions that our community should be doing.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first thing I can recommend is following the CDC and Orange County Health's guidelines, which is what we at Orange County Fire are doing. And really what I would recommend is obviously maintain social distancing and stay at home. Obviously, we've been doing that for a while now, and I know it's difficult for everybody, and it's not the funnest thing, and it's not what we're used to, but it is a necessity for the time being. So please stay at home. And then while you're at home, practice some of those things that you can control: washing your hands often, maintaining a clean house, just clean more often than you normally would. Kind of all those things. And if you do have to go out to obviously grocery shop and whatnot, make sure you have a mask on, maintain that distance away from people. And if you can bring some sanitary wipes to wipe down the shopping cart, although I know many of the facilities are already doing that, just try and give yourself the best odds. There's no guarantees, in this uncertain time, but give yourself the best odds of, being able to avoid potentially, contracting the disease.
All right. Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much for all that you do. Doctors, nurses, all the first responders, you guys are great. And so thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And we'll be right back after this.